बच्चा पार्टी राम राम। ऑल राइट, कितने लोग आ चुके हैं भाई? सिमरन, गीता, वंशिका, नमस्ते बेटा। पारुल, प्राची, सिद्धू नमस्ते बच्चे। एंड सडनली सबके नाम गायब हो गए, कुछ तो गड़बड़ हुई इधर। एंड आई एम नॉट एबल टू सी एनीबॉडीज नेम नाउ जिसने ज्वाइन किया। चैतन्य, नमस्ते बच्चे, वेलकम टू द क्लास। 5 मिनट वेट करेंगे जैसा हम हमेशा, विच इज कस्टमरी इन माई क्लास। 2:05 तक वेट करेंगे, जिसको भी आना होगा। आफ्टर दैट अपन डायरेक्टली वी विल स्टार्ट। सत्या, गुड टू सी यू बच्चे। उमा, नमस्ते बच्चे। अमन, नमस्ते। अजर, गुड आफ्टरनून बेटा। जतन हैज कम। राम राम बच्चू, गुड आफ्टरनून बच्चा। हाँ, see, because I have this habit of calling everyone bacha or beta, for some reason, whenever I imagine you guys, I all imagine you to be younger than you are, probably. Tirtha, kiddo, what's up? Good afternoon, bache. Surbhi, namaste beta. Ram Ram bachchu. Hello bache Ayush. Thank you bache. Questions are a little tricky in the yesterday's passage. Well, the passage, to be honest, yeah, I agree. They were. Even though they were fact-based, out of the three, two were fact-based, but still the questions were tricky. I am with you, but you got all right. You got all the right? Sanchita, Sai, namaste bachche. Good afternoon, beta. Good to see all of you guys. Hello, beta Sanchita. Last year I had a student, her name is Sanchita. Now she is about to join Maika. I am still very, very close to her. So when I saw your name, the first thought was, hey, Sanchita. But then I realized, not Sanchita, Sanchita. You need an explanation for the last question? All right, Satya. But I want to know which all options you were confusing. That's my base criteria before I provide an explanation. You tell me which all options you were confused between, and I'll drop an explanation there. Yo, ping me on Telegram. Siddharth, namaste bachu, welcome to the class. So I have to do one thing because Unacademy is coming up with some workshops. So it's my responsibility to tell you guys about it because they are going to be good and you guys should take advantage of those workshops. Some of you who are attending this class for the first time with me. So at least because otherwise just yesterday I had already informed everybody. So let me take out the link. Yo, Riya, Ritika, Rakshita, Namaste Bacha Party. So all right, in just half a minute we will begin the class. In the meantime, this is the link to those workshops. These are free workshops for anybody to attend. And classes, yesterday as I announced, classes will be from 5 o'clock till 12 o'clock in night. And yeah, some good faculties are teaching there. So do attend the classes and take full advantage of it. All right, so now we will begin. So today's topic is Parajumbles. Once again, even though the class is scheduled for 1 hour, our objective should be that within this 1 hour we should be able to solve and discuss at least 10 questions. ठीक है, तो थोड़ा सा अच्छी स्पीड में चलने की कोशिश करेंगे. We will probably for every question let's keep a time of 2 to 3 minutes to solve it and then another 2 to 3 minutes to discuss it. Cool? All right. कुमार बच्चे नमस्कार. अमन's link open नहीं हो रहा. I have no idea. Beta, it was working. Okay, I'll check the link and you guys begin with the first question now. I have removed the options, as simple as that. So we will create the options later on. But because in CAT, you are not going to get options in Parajumbles. So first try to solve these questions without any options. And then I'll create 4 options quickly and we'll go to poll. Begin. Sakshi, Vasu, Namaste Bache. We have just started the class. Start solving this Parajumble. There are no options. At the time of going to poll, I will create options immediately because I want you guys to solve the questions without options now. Good afternoon, that's it. Answer comments में मत डालना चेतन. We will go to polls. We will go to a poll. Then and there, I'll create some options so that you don't use options to solve the Parajumble. That's the intention. डालने की जरूरत नहीं है. If you don't see your answer in the options, that means you can skip it. Either that or take a gut feeling based call. Then and there, कि क्या answer choose करना है. Jaya, Diksha, नमस्ते बच्चों. Parajumble without options. Start solving. One more minute, then we will go to poll. Okay, we are going to poll now. All right, let me see. Good. Jatan, Sakshi, Simran, Vanshika, outstanding. Satya, good to see. Good bache. Aman, shabash. All right, quite a few of you got it wrong. I am very happy to say this parajumble, first of all, comes in the category of easy. Okay, क्यों? पहले तो सिर्फ 4 sentences हैं. दूसरा, this is what we call a narrative type paragraph. A narrative type मतलब it's following a story. And whenever narrative type paragraphs come, ideally you get a lot of pronoun or people related correlations. तो अभी हम पढ़ते हैं and you will see. He was carrying, first thing to notice is he. Who is this he? Carrying his jacket and walked with his head thrown back. All right. As Annette neared the lamp, she saw a figure walking slowly. So Annette is another character who is a girl. So we have two different characters, and she saw a figure walking slowly. Possible hai that this figure is this he? Maybe. Maybe not. We don't know that. So far, we are parking it aside. See, for a while, Michael walked on. Michael. And she followed 20 paces behind. Now we know जो सीन है वो थोड़ा थोड़ा सा क्लियर होना चालू हुआ, right? Now we know that a girl is walking, a guy is walking, and the girl is walking behind the guy. Guy is Michael, and this is this he whom we are talking about. Cool. With a mixture of terror and triumph of recognition, she slackened her pace. Who is this she? It has to be Annette. Yo. So first of all, names to pronouns. This is the standard structure usually followed in paragraphs. We'll come to that, bache. BDCA also. So, pehle opening sentence is B because that's where Annette has been introduced. The paragraph is primarily about Annette, who saw a figure, who slackened her pace, and who followed some other person 20 paces behind. So, the paragraph is primarily about Annette, which is why B is our opening sentence. Cool. So opening sentence tells us that Annette neared the lamp and she saw a figure walking slowly. Cool. अभी हमारे पास we can directly introduce Michael, but we are talking about a figure. That means Annette has not recognized that person yet. So immediately we cannot introduce Michael now. So first we have to describe the figure. Cool. Second thing, description of the figure is coming in A, not in D. In D, what is happening? In D, she is recognizing the figure. So thought-wise, idea-wise, what is happening? She saw someone, then we know how that person looked, then she recognized it, and then we introduce that person's name. Clear? So she saw someone, that person's description is this, which is A. Then she recognized that person with a terror and triumph of recognition. Because of recognizing her, she slackened her pace, which is why D. After recognition, we tell the reader that person is Michael. If we break this order, what will happen? Michael का नाम पहले आ गया and recognition बाद में हो रहा है. We cannot do that. Which is why D cannot come before C. Forget A. It cannot come even before C. Sorry, ulta bol diya. C cannot come. Sorry. C cannot come before D. First recognition, then Michael. Now coming to DA instead of AD. Cool. Once again, key is recognition. Cool. Once I am saying that she recognized the person and slackened her pace. Now between D and C, I have two connectors. One connector is recognition and Michael. Second connector is slackened her pace and 20 pace behind. ठीक है, ये दो कनेक्टर हैं जो D और C को जोड़ रहे हैं, which is why DA is not a good sequence, DC is. Clear? बच्चा पार्टी, किसी का कोई डाउट? Alright, so it's all about a game of observation. We'll move forward now. Once again, what things are we observing? We are observing pronouns, we are observing ideas, we are observing facts, and we are observing names. Next one. Three minutes का time. यो होगा. होगा बच्चे. शुभम बिचा, राम राम. Parajumble, arrange these sentences in a sequence. एक और मिनट है. After that I'll write the options. 3 मिनट तो पूरे देते हैं ना. इन 3 मिनट तो बनता है. All right. एक सेकेंड जतन, निवेदिता. एक सेकेंड. गुड. इट टेल्स मी के पहले एग्जैक्ट सीक्वेंस तैयार हो गई थी. आउटस्टैंडिंग. 2 सेकेंड, 4 सेकेंड. वंडरफुल. दैट मीन्स विदाउट ऑप्शंस द सीक्वेंस वाज रेडी. वंडरफुल जॉब. Which is why I don't write options earlier, because I know options easy हो जाता है. All right. This is a sentence this is a paragraph which is primarily idea driven. So if you were able to arrange B, C, D, A, all those people who answered within 5 seconds, outstanding job, because that tells me without looking at the options, your sequence was ready perfectly fine. That may be beyond us. First thing to notice is the word that, pronouns. But as long as there are tears and suffering, so long our work will not be over. Now, in a sentence like this, one key important thing to notice is our work will not be over. That means work has been described thoroughly in the sentences preceding it. Which is why now I am talking about whether the work will be over or not over, right? That is a very key component to understand how to interpret this sentence and where it will fit. तो A को मैं side में रख रहा हूँ. We will see later on के कहाँ fit होएगा. The service of India means the service of the millions who suffer. Between A and B, there is no direct correlation. So I am parking aside B as well. We will see later where it fits. It means, once again, it. The ending of poverty and ignorance and disease and inequality of opportunity. What is this it? We have a reference. The service of India. Why? Because it means the service of the millions who suffer. It means the ending of poverty, ignorance, disease, and inequality. So we have a reference for this it, which means BC is a probable sequence. I'm still not calling it a very strong sequence because we don't know what D is, but it is a probable sequence for sure. Now coming to D, the ambition of the greatest man of our generation has been to wipe every tear from every eye. For this set, there is no other reference. So BC now becomes a definite sequence. Now this that, what may be beyond us? Can this service maybe be beyond us? No, this may be beyond us because this is an exaggerated idea, wiping every tear from every eye. So idea reference that का ये है, because this is such a difficult thing to achieve that it may be beyond us. That tells us that BA also is a very strong sequence. Now we have only two probable answers, either BCDA or DABC. If your answer was originally one of these two, very, very good job. Now we coming to exactly. D, first of all, is not a good starting point. And second, this, our work will not be over. This tells us that the entire work has already been described and the description is taking place in B and C, which is why the BCDA is a much better sequence because A, our work, which has been described in B and C, will not be over. This is a conclusion sentence. ओके अभी हेलो बेटा शशांक नेमो BDAC क्यों नहीं हो सकता बच्चे वंस अगेन BDA तो ठीक है C में जो ये it है if you are placing C after AC okay Satya I will if you are placing C after AC then this it does not have a reference, which is why BDAC is not possible because this it is a reference on service of India. But I am already saying work will not be over. I cannot place a reference on work now. I can place a reference on not being over part. When I am saying, let's say for an example, if I am saying the economic policies of the government are not going to work, I can explain to you why they are not going to work because that is my idea now. Now I cannot tell you what are the economic policies. That I have to tell you beforehand. Then I can say these economic policies will not work and then I can tell you why they will not work. So ये जो basic what, why, how, ये हमेशा मैं RC and Parajumble में तुम्हें बताता हूँ. Statements को इन question types में break करना शुरू करो कि कौन सी चीज which particular sentence is describing you what, which particular sentence is telling you why, and which sentence is telling you how, and what takes precedence. First you have to tell what, then you come to why or how. Cool. So this already has come to why. Okay. एक मिनट डी से स्टार्ट क्यों नहीं हो सकता आई विल कम टू दैट बच्चे बट नेमो दैट इज क्लियर बेटा आई मेड DCBA you made DCBA once again बच्चों if you are making DCBA then for this it we don't have a reference. Oh, maybe you are putting this it on this, wiping every tear from every eye. Is that the reason why you took DCBA? Well, actually, that can be done better. That can be done. I'm with you. It sounds like a reference. It sounds like a proper reference. But once again, in that case, that will miss reference. Once again, if I'm saying something is beyond me, then it has to be a very strong statement. Now, strong statement is D. You cannot say B is beyond me, but D is not. So if I am saying something is beyond me, I need a very difficult challenge. That challenge is coming in D, which is why BA, it is not a good sequence. Okay? Yo, D and A are connected. That's the reason. That's the reason. Yes, Satya, that's the reason. Okay. Once again, Bachu, Jaya, I am with you. It may be, but between B and D, which is stronger? Which is more difficult? Service of millions or wiping every single tear from every single eye? Which is a bigger challenge? So DA is a much better sequence than BA under any case. If D were not here, then I'm totally with you. We could have associated A with B as well. It's a matter of what works better. Okay. Why not DABC? But yeah, that's it. This last one. I said, na, maybe you came late. Work will not be over. When I'm saying something will not be over, that means I have already described what that thing is. If I am saying that my task cannot be achieved, then you should know what the task is, na? Otherwise, you won't understand why it cannot be achieved. So B and C are describing us what this work is, which is why we need to place them before. Cool. Next question. Sentence number 1 is fixed. You have to arrange A, B, C, and D only. Ketan Beta, Ram Ram, welcome to the class. This is a Parajumbles. Sentence number 1 is fixed. Arrange A, B, C, and D right now without options. I'll give you guys options when we move to 4. Two more minutes. One more minute. Keep your answers handy. Aha! All right. So finally, we have a difficult question at hand. Shabash, good. Simran, Nemo, Sakshi, good, bache. Aman, shabash. But a lot of kids have made mistakes, and there are some names that I don't expect usually. All right. ठीक है जी. So first sentence तो यहाँ पे fixed है. Once again, this is also a combination of ideas as well as your pronouns and other things. Okay, bache, I'll write it above. Okay, so first sentence is telling us toppers का नाम. बेटा अभी मेरे पास list नहीं आया, unfortunately. This time it did not give me the leaderboard. When it gives me, I'll publish it. So the first sentence tells us that Indian religious literature such as this and this, which are identified as differing from secular writings, elicit much greater interest in the West than do other Indian writings. Basically, there are two types of Indian writings. One are not generating interest in the West, and the other are generating interest. Cool. This is the opening idea. When identity is thus defined by contrast, ye defined by contrast, once again, remember in Parajumbles, if anything is mentioned between inverted commas like this, that means it has a reference point. It has been explained beforehand. So we need a reference for defined by contrast. Before that, ideally, it should not come. Like, it should not be the starting point. So I'll keep Park A aside. Defined by contrast, divergence with the West becomes central. Once again, what is divergence with the West? I don't know even that as well so far. Coming to B. There is a similar neglect of Indian writing. Similar. When I am using similar, that means something like this has been told immediately before this. Cool. On non-religious subjects, from mathematics to epistemology and natural science to economics and linguistics, all right. B is also parked aside. Between 1 and A and 1 and B, 1 to B is a stronger sequence. Why? Because 1 is also talking about this neglect. There is one type of Indian writing that has been neglected. And then I am using the word similar to talk about other subjects. Possibility is 1 to B is a sequence. Possibility. Parking it aside. Not confirming it right now. C. Through selective emphasis that point up differences with the West, other civilization can in this way, blah, 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 something like that. I will not explain it right now. My focus will be on differences with the West. Actually, see, understand the meaning, but focus on the relevant things. Why did I focus on differences with the West? How do I know that I have to focus on differences with the West? That's because in A, we have already talked about divergence with the West. So I know that I have a connector. If I did not have that connector, I would not have called this entire sentence blah, blah, blah. Because that means I don't have a connector, dude. I have to be very careful. But I have a connector. So C and A are directly connected. Either AC or CA, that we will decide later. But C and A are directly connected. The exception, now if I'm talking about exception, that means this idea, this topic has been discussed beforehand. And now I am discussing an exception. Is the Kama Sutra, in which Western readers have managed to cultivate an interest. So B and D are connected, either BD or DB. पहले तो इसे फाइनल करते हैं. Exception will come later, idea will come first. So BD is a strong sequence. First you complete the idea and then you talk about exceptions. BD is a strong sequence. Cool. Because defined by contrast, and I need a reference for that, this difference with the West has to come first because this is talking about contrasts. In this, we are talking about contrast, that things that are not matching Western ideology, they are treated separately. They are considered like an alien thing. Because of which CA is a strong pair. So it can be either CABD or BDCA. Because we have opening sentence as 1, it will be BDCA. Remember this as a rule. I always tell you, I will always remind you, in Parajumbles, 90% of the times, whenever you have two different ideas being discussed in a paragraph, like here, CA is one connected idea, complete idea. BD is another complete idea. You always pair them together. You don't try to create a mishmash of BCDA or BADC. No. In non-fiction, you complete one idea, then you move to the next idea. Cool. So which is why we complete BD as an idea first, and then we move to the next idea, that is CA, and BDCA becomes one complete sequence. Clear? Starting point तो यहाँ पे हमें पता है बेटा. Starting point is sentence number 1, in which we are talking about a differential treatment given to two different type of Indian writings in the West. That is my starting point. So I continue that same idea in B by talking about a similar neglect. I continue that same idea in D by talking about an exception. Then I change my idea in C by introducing this next idea of selective emphasis and differences with the West. And then I continue that idea in A by talking about defined by contrast and divergence. That is the connection. Okay, I agree. Next question. Let's go. शांति. अभी तो 1 मिनट भी नहीं हुआ बेटा. 2 more minutes are there. Let everybody solve it. Was it so easy? चलो ठीक है. चल जाए यार. All right. Good job, Parul, Jaya, Dipendu. Good job, बच्चे. Pallavi, Gaurav, Ritika, Satya, Shabash. Good, Sakshi. But a lot of kids got this one wrong. So far, women power, Sakshi, Sanchita, and Parul. Good. Hanji, this is purely idea driven. And this is probably a good example of what you can expect in CAT. Because short sentences usually, and in CAT, the type of parajumbles you get now are primarily idea driven. Perhaps the best known is question should be, what is the best known? The Bay Area Writing Project founded by some guy. So I always tell you that in non-fiction writing, there is this idea arrangement technique, idea to example, right? Or idea to fact, or broad to narrow. This is narrowing down things. This is an example. That means it has to come after the main idea. So I will write A separately, but I am looking for already what will come after A. A cannot be the starting point. Idea to example. The decline in writing skills can be stopped. All right, between B and A, so far there is no connection. I'm keeping B aside. Today's back to basics movement has already forced some schools to place renewed emphasis on the 3 R's. What are 3 R's? I have no idea. So once again, C also I'm parking aside. Although the inability of some teachers to teach immediately, some teachers to teach writing successfully remains a big stumbling block. Stumbling block in what? A number of programs have been developed to attack this problem. Now we know there is a problem. For that problem, some solution has been taken in which a stumbling block is this. Cool. What is the problem? B. Writing skills ka decline. What are the solutions? 3 R's. What is the stumbling block? Teachers' capacity to teach. And what is the example of number of programs? Area writing project. Completely idea. So B, then problem का solution 3 R's, solution का stumbling block ये और उसका example ये. Okay. सैफ का बेटा क्या? Okay. कोई डाउट तो नहीं है? आगे चल पड़े. So see, once again, यहाँ से देखो, a lot of times it happens बेटा, वर्बल में स्पेशली क्लास में क्वेश्चन डिस्कस हो जाते हैं, बट लर्निंग नहीं होती क्योंकि तुम्हें सॉल्यूशन पता चल रहे हैं, बट your thought process is not changing. Learning in this question is that one sentence had 1, 2, 3 different keys, 1, 2, 3 different keys. That was unlocking the entire paragraph. You have to be observant and you have to learn to connect these small things with whatever you are reading prior to that. Cool? Next. Okay, Temu. Once again, 3 minutes. One more minute. Vanshika, bacha thoda. There are other people in the class as well. तो अगर 3 मिनट का प्रॉमिस किया तो 3 मिनट तो बनता दिखता. रक्षिता. All right. I hope ये किसी का गलत ना हो. Oh my goodness. See, that's what I was trying to tell you. Just because you are solving questions does not mean your thought process is changing. That is something you have to consciously do. इसमें जो रूल लगा है ना, वो अभी 2 क्वेश्चन पहले बताया. I have told that rule just 2 questions back. Okay, but good job once again. Women power. Sakshi, Sanchita, and Parul. Great. And for that matter, even after that, on position number 4 and 5, Vanshika and Simran. And then we have put Aman, Satya, Amrita. All right. Jatan, are you there, kid, or have you dropped out? Tirtha, are you there, bache? Or have you guys like dropped out? Because I'm not seeing their name, it's sort of a little. Yeah, they have dropped. All right. Okay. ठीक है जी. सबसे पहले he felt justified. Who is he? In bypassing Congress altogether on a variety of moves. Cool. At times he was fighting the entire Congress. Once again, who? Between A and B, we have a connector. That is Congress. B is introducing the idea that at times he was fighting the entire Congress. He felt justified in bypassing Congress altogether, which is why B to A is a sequence. Immediately. Introduction, and then I'm further taking it forward. Bush was not fighting just the Democrats. Now, introduction of Mr. Bush. So we know that this he is Bush. So now it is C, and after that we have B2A. So Bush was not fighting just the Democrats. At times he was fighting. So there is a connection of fighting to fighting as well. Not only Democrats, at times the entire Congress. So CBA, this is a one complete sequence. If you have been able to identify at least this sequence, I will say good job. You are not very far. But if you were not able to identify this sequence, that means you need to buckle up, and Parajumbles में you have to work on your basics. ठीक है? D. Representative democracy is a messy business, and the CEO of the White House does not like a legislator of second guessers and time wasters. We have two different positions for D. This as well as this. Okay? So it can be either DCBA or CBAD. If your answer is between these two, still, as I said, two best choices. These are the two. Good job. Always remember 90 to 95% cases में in Parajumbles we always go to idea to facts, broad to narrow. What is a broader concept? Broader concept is this: a CEO of the White House. Narrowing down, we are talking about only Mr. Bush. Cool. Which is why D will come prior to CBA and it will be DCBA. Is that clear to everyone? Any confusion, any doubt in that? Okay. All right. Then आगे चलें? ये ना, by the way, once again I'm reminding you, कुछ चीजें हैं पैराजम्बल्स में. आइडिया टू फैक्ट, आइडिया टू इलैबोरेशन, मतलब टेकिंग एन आइडिया फर्दर, then broad concepts to narrow concepts. This is something which will help you solve 75% of parajumble questions. Remember these things. Cool? Okay. Next question. Once again, 3 minutes. Rakshita, Bache, what is going on with that? I cannot believe that you solved this question already. It's impossible. Devendra, Prateek, Siva, NR, Namaste Bache. We are in the middle of a class. We might finish it, to be honest, in another half an hour or so. Or maybe 45 minutes, I don't know, depending on how long the students can sit through it. So, tab tak ke liye, attempt this question. Parajumble without options. Options I will write only at the time of the poll. चार ऑप्शन काफी हैं. All right. A feedback to every single kid whose answer was either A or D. Feedbacks are very important in verbal. Okay, Jaya. Good. I am happy that you observed that. In verbal, this observation, just now what Jaya gave us, unless and until you start making these observations, verbal won't improve. It won't. It's a myth that verbal improves automatically if you solve questions. That's not how it works. So this feedback is very important. Good job, Jay. If your answer was A or D, then your reading habits or your parajumbles are extremely weak. Extremely weak. Because this parajumble, it is not easy, it was not easy, but identifying the opening statement in this parajumble was extremely easy. Once again, twice I have explained it already. Idea to facts. This simple logic you have to maintain. We have 5 different sentences. 4 are factual. A is factual, talking about allied forces. C is factual, talking about what was happening in Britain. D is factual, talking about what was happening in Red Army. E was factual, that on Eastern Front something was happening. Connecting all these 4 things is idea contained in B. I am saying, the paragraph is saying that sentence number B. In June 1944, Germany's position in World War II appeared hopeless. And now, this is my what. What was wrong? What is the problem statement? It appeared hopeless. And now, in the remaining sentences, I am giving the why. Precisely. Why exactly was it hopeless? Why? Because of these things. So now we have to only arrange A, C, D, and E. B is sorted. There a little bit of knowledge of geography will come handy. Okay. So in the West, something was happening. And in June 19, in Britain, the task of amassing the men was something, something, something. D, the Red Army was poised to drive the Nazis back, and the situation on the Eastern Front was catastrophic. So two things are happening. One thing is happening on the Eastern Front, and the second thing is happening in the West. Two things. One is East, one is West. And then we have two examples of Britain and of Red Army. Then chances are one is an example of what was happening in the East and one is an example of what was happening in the West. And that's what we have to identify. Which means it will be E to fact or example and it will be D to fact or example. That's how the arrangement will be. So in East we have Red Army, which is Russia. Which is why, sorry, not D, this will be A. A. Okay. In East, we have Red Army, which is Russia. So ED is a strong sequence. And in West, we have Britain. So AC is a strong sequence. So ED is a sequence, AC is a sequence. Once again, idea to fact. By the way, every single question that we have done so far, it's a CAT question. And you can see that almost all questions can be done utilizing this simple concept of idea to fact or idea to elaboration. That's it. And I randomly pick all these questions. So ED is a sequence, idea to fact. AC is a sequence, idea to fact. Arrangement अब हमें देखना है. Arrangement के लिए you need reading ability. The situation on the Eastern Front was catastrophic, and then because it says in the West, this is a contrasting situation. So I'm saying something was happening on the Eastern Front, as against that in the West something else was happening, which is why B, E, D will be first, and then it will be AC. Identifying this A or E, what will come first, that was the only tricky part of this Parajumble. That was genuinely difficult because for that you need to understand how writing works. Beyond that, if you identified what is the opening statement and these two sequences, good job. Then you are not far away. Then mere practicing will take you to the level that you need to achieve. If you are not able to identify these three things, only practice will not be enough. You will have to do some extra things. Like reading, like close observations, like slow practice. Cool? Any doubt? Any argument? See, in these classes, all the new students, at least all the old ones know that in my classes, I like when students argue. For the old ones, for new ones, do argue. Okay, beta Vanshika. All right. So that remember this thing, this one tiny minute. Next question. Once again, 3 minutes. Nice question. Good job, all the people who have already marked the answer at that too correctly. This was a tricky question, undoubtedly. Especially because it had 5 sentences, so it became even more difficult. Sakshi, beta, Gajab. Sakshi, Sanchita, Parul, all three actually. Even Simran, Satya, I am very happy to. Satya, I am very happy to see your name up here, Bachi. Good job. Good job. These are not easy Parajumbles, undoubtedly. So 5 out of 7 is a very good, it's an excellent score. 4 out of 7 is a good score. 5 is excellent, and 6 and 7 are simply chocolate worthy. You, if we were in an actual physical classroom, I would have actually, given you guys chocolates. Outstanding job. Okay, so this was a tricky question. The wall does not simply divide Israel from a putative Palestinian state on the basis of the 1960 borders, something we don't know anything yet. A chilling omission from the roadmap is the gigantic separation wall now being built in the West Bank by Israel, which tells us that this is probably the introductory sentence which is introducing this wall to us. Because this tells us that this is the wall which is now being built. Probably it will be introductory, but we will park it aside. Let's read the rest of the sentences. It is surrounded by it. So this is a reference on the wall. Surrounded by trenches, electric wire and moats. There are watchtowers at regular intervals. So now we know there is a wall that is being built. So C has to come after B for sure. Whether it will come after A or C, let's decide it now itself. Can we decide it now itself? Is there a way? Can somebody tell me, is there a way to decide it now itself? After B, it will come for sure. Will it come before A or after A? C. Any logic to crack that? Those of you who got it wrong, try to observe it now. Before A or after A? Why? There are two things to notice. First is the wall. Second, does not simply divide Israel from a putative Palestine. This also is the start of an idea. It does not simply do this thing, it does more than that. Okay? Chances are, because of this reference of the wall and this thing, C will come after A. But that is just a minute chance. It's just a possibility, not substantial thing. So I am going to write C here, but I will keep that in mind. I might have to change my opinion later on. Cool? We'll move forward. D. It actually takes in new tracks. Now between A and D, there is a very clear-cut connection. A to D is the very first strong sequence of this parajumble is A to D. Why? It does not simply divide, it actually takes in new tract. Can you see the contrast? It does not merely do one thing, it does more. What is that more? It takes in new land or new Palestinian land inside. So AB is a very strong sequence. Cool. So far, are you guys with me? Great. Almost a decade after the end of South African apartheid, this ghastly racist wall is going up with scarcely a peep from Israel's American allies. Now, just in the last parajumble, I told you that in a parajumble, you finish one idea and only then do you move to a new idea. This is introducing a new idea. What is that new idea? Racism. Okay? And this American allies wali cheese. This is a new idea, which means First, we will finish talking about the wall, its structure, what it is doing, and then we will move to this new idea of racism and who is paying for it, blah, blah, blah. So, E has to be my last sentence. Cool. Is that clear? So, BADC is one complete thought talking about the wall, what it is, describing it, and E is then telling us its racist impact. New thought, new idea, which is why E will come in the end. BADC will be prior to it. Any doubt, any confusion, or should we move forward? और करने हैं ना? चलो. कहाँ गए भाई हम? Going to poll. Debindu, Jaya, Sakshi, amazing job, kiddo. Amazing job. Satya, outstanding, बच्चे. Good. Very good. All right. Sakshi is operating at a different level today. Good job, beta. All right, so let's begin. By the way, before that, otherwise I will forget. Day after tomorrow, there's a class, same time, on summary type questions, and tomorrow there is a class on vocabulary. Those of you who want to come and attend. 2 o'clock in afternoon. Okay, कहाँ पे आ गए हम? A. This fact, which fact we don't know, was established in the 1730s by French survey expeditions to equator near the equator and Laplace direction, which found that around the middle of the Earth, the arc was about a kilometer shorter. All right. We'll park A aside. We don't know the relation between A and other different sentences. One of the unsettled scientific questions in the late 18th century was the exact nature of the shape of the Earth. Now we can say that between A and B, some connection is there because we are talking about the shape of the Earth, and this is talking about arc being a kilometer shorter. All, but still, so B has to come before A. Where it will fit, we don't know. The length of 1 degree arc, now once again we are talking about arc, would be less near the equatorial latitudes than at the poles. Between C and A, there is a direct relation. Why? Here the author is saying it would be, and here it is saying that it is. And then we are saying this fact was established. So probably this is the fact that A is referring to. Here the author is saying the 1 degree arc would be shorter near the equatorial latitudes than at the poles. And then in A, he is giving us a proof that it is actually shorter, which means this fact is a reference on this 1 degree arc would be shorter. So C to A is a sequence. This is our first strong sequence based on idea. Difficult to identify, but a strong sequence. D. One way of doing that, what is to determine the length of the arc along a chosen longitudinal meridian at 1 degree latitude separation. Length of the arc once again. Doing that, what we will see. So far, we are parking D aside. E. While it was generally known that the Earth was not a sphere but something more curved at the equator and set at the poles, the question of how much more was yet to be established. So first we say it was yet to be established, and then we talk about that this fact was already established. So we know E has to come before C and A. Now D is the only thing that we have to fix. This much if you figured out, good job. Now we have to place D somewhere in this figure. What is D? One way of doing that. What is this that? This, to figure out things. No. See, in A, we have already figured things out, beta. Problem is resolved. In B, the problem is not resolved yet. Yes, the problem is not resolved yet. We are saying one way of resolving the problem is to do something. What is that something? That is happening in C and A. So C and A are the solution of the problem. E and D are still discussing the problem and what may be a solution, which is why D will come after E. So B tells us the exact problem, E continues to tell us the problem, D tells us what could be a probable solution, and then C and A are telling us what you will actually find, what is the solution. Structure is clear to you. So in B, the problem is there. What is the scientific question? In E, we are elaborating that. In D, we are discussing what may be a probable solution, and C and D में वो solution implement होगा. B, E, D, C. आगे चलें? चलें. I was very happy initially because 65% people had almost got it right. So I was like, yeah, but then the number went down. Good, once again coming back up. Sakshika perfect record has unfortunately been disrupted, but still overall good job and excellent job Satya. Bache, excellent job. For those of you who are new and who are thinking why I am referring to Satya again and again, that's because I know Satya for a long time. And I have been seeing him doing things for 2 months now. And because today I can see that improvement, that makes me very happy. As a teacher, that's all that you want. Huh? You just want to see your students actually actually improving. Otherwise, you start doubting whether as a teacher whether you are doing a good job or not. So once you see your kids, your students improving, you feel that okay, students, all credit goes to you, beta, Satya, but outstanding job actually. Thank you, beta Kamla. I just try to. Yeah. Even then, I goof up. I do stupid things sometimes. Hopefully, I won't do them. Okay, चालू करते हैं. By the way, those of you who are not in the group, if you want to join the group, please do come. Its name is Perennial Learners. That's my username as well. You can look it up on Telegram and join. I cannot share the link because Unacademy has changed its rules. So that's it. Hanji, surrendered or captured combatants cannot be incarcerated in razor wire cages. This war has a dubious legality. We have no context so far. So A, we have to park aside. We will see how to interpret it. How can then one characterize a conflict to be waged against a phenomenon as one war? Once again, we have a no context. So B is also parked aside. The phrase war against terror, which has passed into the common lexicon, is a huge misnomer. This sounds like our, introductory idea. Why? Because this is telling us the problem statement. And I have been telling you, learn to divide statements into what, why, how, things like this. This is telling me what? What is the problem? Chances are this is the opening one. Still, I'm not making it opening statement. I'm just keeping it aside. Let me read the other two statements. B. Besides, war has a judicial meaning in international law, which has codified the laws of war, imbuing them with a humanitarian content. Immediately, one small thing. See, keep doing that as you are reading. Otherwise, you will forget. There is another sentence that is touching upon this humanitarian content. That is sentence number 8. How it is talking about surrendered or captured combatants cannot be incarcerated in razor wire cages. This is a humanitarian problem. It is telling us we cannot treat people like this. So between B and A, there is some connection. We will figure out the connection later, but we have to keep it in our mind. E, terror is a phenomenon, not an entity, either state or non-state. Once again, phenomenon has been discussed somewhere. Where? How can then one characterize a conflict to be waged against a phenomenon as war? So between E and B, there is a connection. Between E and B, sequence has to be EB. First, I introduce the idea that terror is phenomenon, and then I question how can then we call this, conflict against a phenomenon as war. So EB is a strong sequence. By now, it should be clear that C is actually our opening statement. First, I am telling us this is my problem. It is a misnomer. Then I am saying terror is a phenomenon. So how can we call something against a phenomenon as a war? So this is my supporting argument. This is my what? And EB is providing me argument to support that what, which means it is Y. Same, what 2y? So C, E, B, this becomes one sequence. And we already know there is a connection between D and A. Now let's try to understand whether it will be A to D or it will be D to A. So we are saying besides war has a juridical meaning and imbuing it with humanitarian content. This is my idea. This is my example. Why am I talking about humanitarian content? Because currently something wrong is happening. So they have a humanitarian responsibility in war. But in this so-called war against terror, something bad is being done. This is an example of how this humanitarian thing is not being followed in this so-called war. Clear? So it has to be CEB, then DA. Is this clear? This was a difficult one. Wonderful. With this, can we call it a day now? I think we have practiced some really good quality questions today. But once again, let me remind you, Bacha Party, don't be under this assumption that you just solve question after question and it will improve. It won't. You will measure after 2 months and you will realize that still your accuracy is 50% or 40%. Sometimes you're getting things right and sometimes you're getting things wrong. So learning from this class should be observing these small things, learning to divide sentences into this what, why, how, idea to fact. Initially try to do things slowly, but do it in a logical manner. This is not English. This is logical reasoning. Step by step. Okay? Great. So आज के लिए छुट्टी करते हैं. With options it seems easy, sir, but without I am with you. And which is why I am telling you. I don't know which material you are referring, which book you are referring. Even if there are options, practice without options. Even if you're getting a few things wrong, it's okay. Group Milani beta, I have no idea. Why? Just try. This is the spelling. Perennial learners. एक मिनट ये गलत आ गया. Try this, you will find it. Oh, underscore में वो हाइफन में वो तो मेरा वो है कोड. But group this Telegram, this is the group's name without the hyphen. वो hyphen लगा के that is my code, referral code. Okay, बच्चा, yo, tada. I'll try to make it more helpful, बच्चे. According to me, right now I'm not helping you guys enough. I do feel guilty for that. Trust me, when I say I do, I do. But hopefully by this month and I'll start doing more to help you guys. Bye bye.